Hello, my friends. Welcome to episode, 23?
23.
23 of the Make Music Income podcast. I'm here with Eric Copeland. My name is Steve Bedall, and this episode is brought to you, as always, by productionmusicacademy.com and makemusicincome.com. In today's episode, we're going to talk about, it's getting a little dark, but I think it's going to end on a positive note. We're going to talk about avoiding burnout and knowing when to maybe call it quits. And I'm not talking about quitting music, of course. I'm talking about just knowing when to switch gears. Those of you listening understand that music isn't something that you can just we can just walk away from. It's certainly not something I can't walk away from. It's going to be with me my whole life. I'm going to be a musician until my very last breath. It's something that's a part of me. So when music becomes work, though, whether that's like part-time or full-time, or if it becomes your career, it starts to feel a little bit different. And I know that a lot of the listeners will relate to this. One anxiety that I come up against with music production and being an artist is just the idea of like losing touch with the magic of music. And as musicians, we often forget that people experiencing music as non-artists or as non-musicians have this kind of childlike awe and wonder about it. And it's a really magical experience for them. And it still is for me too. And I still get very inspired by some of the music that I listen to. But when you study it, when you practice it, and it becomes your full-time business, you also run the risk of allowing yourself to resent it. And I know that, many people over the years who've gone too far down the rabbit hole on one aspect of their music careers in search of something that they never really found, or maybe in search of happiness that never ultimately came about. And ultimately, they burnt themselves out. And I want to talk about that in this episode. So, not to get too dark about it, but to be honest with you guys, I'm feeling a little burnt out right now. And you could probably tell by the darkness under my eyes. Actually, both Eric and I used the Zoom's skin smoothing feature.
Look how smooth our skin is.
So even with the skin smoothing feature, I still see some lines underneath my eyes. It's pretty bad. And I've been kind of burning the candle at both ends. I'm not getting a lot of sleep. I've been working real hard lately, and that's okay. That's part of that's part of the journey. But I occasionally, I run up against this feeling of burnout, and it's always a good time to kind of meditate on that and reassess the situation, reorganize your life. And I want to talk about a few thoughts that I have on managing burnout, and what to do if you're coming up against that kind of wall. So anyway, before we get into that, Eric, what is going on? How was your week?
Oh, man, I'm just so burnt out. I'm just kidding. Especially after that soliloquy there.
I just burnt you out there.
Dude, talk about burning candles at both ends. I'm now basically working from about 9 o'clock in the morning to about 11:30 at night. And that's not including a drive I have after 11:30 to drive home.
Yeah.
And so I finally end up in front of YouTube, where I am still likely watching a video from Stevie B or somebody like that until 1 o'clock in the mornings, which is, some people would argue, is also work.
How long is the drive from work to your home?
It's about 40 minutes.
That's not that bad.
Yeah. No, it's not too bad. And it's an easy one. It's like toll roads going north of Orlando, so I don't have to go through the nastiness of the city. So it's a relatively nice drive, and I used to listen to podcasts or listen to music, and it's a downtime kind of thing. Or I can have conversations with people, clients on the phone. So, but that means I'm still working. So I am working probably pretty easily 60-hour weeks right now, and which I need, because in some respects I am making up a little bit of time. I'm making up a little bit of downtime I've had over the past year or so, where the business has started to get a little smaller. And then this year, with stock music kind of taking a little bit of a dive, it has changed even more. So I was up for a work period, a time of, hey, get to work, get things going,
Yeah.
and I'm enjoying this new thing that I'm doing, this new teaching job I'm doing and stuff like that. So I am busy, and it's making my body feel better, and I'm getting out. We've all been locked inside for years with COVID, and it did some damage to my body just sitting here in this room every day, all day.
Mm-hmm.
And so getting out and being active is good. I did a video today that is similar to this video that we're talking about. Right before this, I did a live called Where I Am with Stock Music. And it similarly talks about, kind of not feeling it with that income. Now, but I wanted to make sure everybody knew that while I still make $200 or $300 a month from stock music, it's only 5% of my income right now.
Mm-hmm.
So less than 5% actually. So I have to be very careful how much time I put into it. And I think that's another way we can get burned out, is that we work so much on something that brings back so little. And we've even seen people talking about that in our Discord even today. I did finish tracking on a country song the other day called I Hope You Like My Truck. Very country, barroom type of song. And I've got a few more to pass around and get tracked. I probably won't be doing any more live tracking for this album. And then I've got vocals going on for them now. So we're getting closer and closer. I keep saying that, but it finally looks like we are moving closer. I did a popular video called My New Music Income that I talked about this job and all that kind of stuff. And that's on my channel right now and did very well. And I've got a few songs in the work for stock, but I'll mess with them. You know how they are. That you get an idea and you say, we'll see if that works. But it's been very challenging for me to find the time in the mornings to work on composing stuff, because I'm trying my best to finish up getting all my jobs that I'm doing that I don't want to do anymore done. In other words, there's a few jobs I don't want to do anymore and I don't have to do anymore, and I'm going to start outsourcing them. And so trying to get that balance down to the point where I do have more composing time in the mornings is going to be the key. So that's what I'm really trying to do, but spending the most of my time teaching hungry minds who want to do or think they want to do what we're talking about today. But the problem is sometimes the dream isn't always a dream once you get into it, especially if it doesn't pay anything or bring any kind of recognition, or it doesn't give you the joy you thought it was going to give you. And I think I have some answers for that. And we'll talk about that.
Well, I think it's, and the pay thing, like the actual, getting the money might not come for quite some time. And especially music is kind of like, has that's a common issue. It's like, it's kind of an investment in the long term for money that might, take years to develop to a point where you can, quit your job or you're making significant amounts of money off of it. In the meantime, it's got to bring you something, and that something's got to be joy. You really got to enjoy doing it. You really got to enjoy learning, and you really got to enjoy the hustle towards, having that kind of stream of income. And I think maybe an overarching theme of this whole podcast would just be like, if you're not getting money or joy, that's probably a good, time to sit to give it some thought and reevaluate what you're doing. And it's not like you have to, because you don't have to quit music. You might just want to consider switching gears and trying something else. Because it's got to be fun, man. It's got to be fun. And I think that the royalty free or the stock music grind is something that I can burn people out. And I think we've had several people kind of speak on that in the Discord. I mean, we had our friend Brian kind of speak on that just today. Is that I think it's a hustle that can kind of burn you out.
So before we get started in that, tell us how your week has brought you kind of to this point. I know you're in editing craziness right now and doing stuff. How have you said earlier that you've started to feel some burnout? What has your week been like, and what has brought you to this point?
Well, everything's good. My week's been cool. It's pretty much business as usual over here. I mean, I got a couple new tracks approved on Motion Array. Excited about that. I'm working on a film scoring course for June for the Academy. I featured the collab track from last month's challenge.
That's cool.
Yeah, for yesterday's live stream, which was super fun. I'm trying to get into the Spotify game, and I'm trying to kind of do some research there, and also started a new topic in the Academy for Spotify and SoundCloud growth, and kind of focusing on like the artist side of things a little bit more, but yeah, I mean, I think it's what got me to feeling a little bit burnt out, and this is no big deal because it happens every once in a while. It's just that I spend so much time editing stuff. I'm like, then it's like administrative things, and then I'm also trying to organize a bunch of gigs for the summer. Trying to get the schedules together. I'm trying to figure out logistics for my wedding that's coming up, as well as a bachelor party, and then several other weddings as well. It's going to be a real chaotic and busy summer, and I'm trying to sort out a lot of things at the same time. I got my taxes that I'm trying to deal with, which is complicated. I think what got me to it's the strangest thing, but like I was feeling anxious about putting out like a YouTube video this week. And I was just like, oh man, I just don't have time. Like I didn't have time this week to do it. And I always like have this, in the back of my mind. It's like, try to do at least like, one video a week. And this week was like, there's no chance. Like I just don't have the time to do it. And I felt kind of disappointed. And the other night, and I kind of sounded off about this yesterday on my live stream too, but I was up late at night. I couldn't sleep. I felt kind of restless, and I was watching YouTube, and I don't know if you know Michael Bagstrom. He's like this dude. He's been on YouTube forever. He's been he does like music tutorials. He has like tons of tutorials, hundreds and hundreds of them. Swedish guy, seems like a really sweet dude. And he put out this video just recently that was like, he was just so candid and so honest. But he's just like, I'm done. Like straight up, I'm sick of doing tutorials. I've been doing them for 12 years. From now on, all I'm doing on YouTube is whatever the hell I want to do. And I was like, I
totally get that.
And I was like,
totally
the way he said it was so candid and so honest and so raw. And I was like, oh man, I totally feel this guy. I just felt the burnout in like the way he was saying it. I just felt his energy so hard. And then I noticed that like all the videos that he's putting out on YouTube now are him playing like tin whistle covers. He's just having fun. Like he doesn't care.
That's funny.
Anyway, it resonated with me.
I feel your YouTube pain.
Yeah.
As you know, I since I started this job, I've been doing a lot more lives rather than film videos and edited ones.
Yeah.
But the edited ones just do so much better than the lives.
They do.
When you edit something down to 10 or 15 minutes or less, it really, people can get in and get out and get what they need, and they just do so much better.
Yeah.
And so I have decided to kind of half my plan, and I talked about this last week, where I'm just going to do one live per week, and then on the other day really work on getting the thing filmed and putting that thing out, in addition to our things that we do with this. And so every other week I have that on my channel. And so I feel that, and I feel that pressure sometimes, because you want to keep the YouTube channel, for me, is the most important piece. You have your academy. I don't have an academy, and I'm not planning to have an academy. I'm planning to have to continue to find ways to build my YouTube channel. And
right.
And I had a great interview with a guy talking about Spotify and stuff that just is killing. And so in a totally different music income, that this guy's making almost 5 figures a month. And
this guy, this is an interview you haven't released yet?
He makes Dan Barracuda look like a tiny little guppy. He makes Dan Barracuda look like Dan Guppy.
Dan Guppy.
As far as what as far as what this guy is doing on and it's not music.
Wait,
I mean,
this is something that's not come out yet?
Yeah, I haven't even shot
wait.
it yet. We just had a
Okay.
kind of a consult yesterday, but let me tell you, what this guy is doing is very impressive. And
Cool.
so, but it's a whole nother kind of music income
Yeah.
that is not even something I've talked about on this channel. So my goal is to try to continue to build this channel and not around just stock music, because as we see, stock music has its limits, and it has it for myself, it has it for Brian, someone even has it for you. You know, it can't be depended on. Everything changes all the time. And so, it's just something that we've got to really watch. And I think here's the other thing, and I'm just going to jump right into this now. You haven't really wrapped up your week. Well, I guess you kind of.
Oh yeah. Have fun.
But okay, so I just want to just say that this is something I have run into for decades and decades. I mean, since I was 18 or in my teens, when I knew I loved music, I knew I wanted to do music, but there are just times when you feel like you don't want to do it. You just don't feel it. You're not feeling it. Yeah. And to me, there's an easy way to fix that, and that is to stop. I'm not frozen. I just stopped.
Take a break. And much need a break.
Music. Just stop. Put it away.
Yeah.
Don't go in your studio. Go away for the weekend. Go away for a week.
Totally.
There's nothing like a long week in a place where there's no music to do, no music to play. You don't have a guitar. You don't have a piano.
Yeah.
You're just at Disney, or you're at a state park. You're camping in the wilderness. You have no way to do anything but just chill and just relax and just let your brain take a break. And I think especially those of us who are creative, this happens with authors too. This isn't music centric. This happens with anyone who's in the creative arts of any kind. This happens with teachers. This happens with anyone who is trying to do this same thing every day and trying to make it either their livelihood or their passion or whatever. Mm-hmm. You've got to get away from it. You've got to take breaks, and you've got to get away. And I think that is the thing that has always been the thing that has kind of healed me up. I've gone spurts. I've gone months, if not multi-months, without writing a song before.
Yeah.
I've gone a lot of days or weeks without touching a keyboard before, and it's helpful. It is helpful, and so I know what burnout feels like, because I've been in it so much, because this has been my job for nonstop for 22 years, and before that, even other years and times that I've done it. But for sure, nonstop 22 years has been this. Music is my only job. And most people that are listening to this don't even do music for their job. They just do music for a side gig.
Yeah.
You know, they have another job. I don't know, I can't remember about Brian, but I think Brian has another job besides music.
I think so. Yeah, I think so. And you know, I've talked about this a bit on previous episodes, but like growing up, as a young kid, as a teenager, I wanted to be a rock star, you know. I wanted to be on stage and play music and sing, and that's all they wanted to do. I was so focused on that goal. You know, all throughout my 20s, I hustled hard on the band stuff, went on tour, and that had some amazing moments, you know, and I don't regret any of it. It was fantastic, but I became so attached to that dream, that vision of myself, you know, being a touring, performing musician, that it was extremely difficult to allow myself to recognize that it's not what was making me happy. I think, you know, you get so attached to a dream that you're in denial about you can become in denial about the fact that it's actually making you miserable, and it's actually not what you want to do. And then when you come to that realization, you accept that isn't what your dream of doing whatever it is that you had in mind isn't maybe what's going to happen for the rest of your life. It's actually very cathartic, and it's a very, you know, healthy release. And it was for me. I think it was painful to come to that, but it was the kind of the best decision I ever made was to kind of exit that plan and kind of reassess my life and decide that I wasn't going to be on the road. I wasn't going to be like a road warrior, and it wasn't in line with an original dream, but the dream has changed into something else, and I'm so much happier now. I really am. So I think, and I got burnt out. I got really, really burnt out by the lifestyle and the toll it took on my body. So we were discussing a little bit, like, some way, like talking about ways to avoid this situation. You were saying take a break, like, an extended break. I think that's a really good idea.
One thing I've been doing since I started teaching is almost completely taking a break on the weekends. Not even turning the lights on in here, and using this as a walk-through room out to the pool and into the family room rather than as a studio.
Right. Yeah.
A few mornings I have caught up on a few personal projects that aren't work at all. Most people watching this, everything you do is a personal project. For me, I have to really mark out that time. But just really not doing anything musically and just going. Last week we went to a movie. The next day we went to a water park, and we just kind of stayed away from the house and from the grind.
Yeah, man.
And it makes you fresher when you wake up on Monday morning. You're like, okay, let's get back to this thing.
To do that at least once a week. Yeah, at least once. I take Saturdays off. I spend it with my girlfriend, and we go out and do fun stuff, and we go for dinner, and we do whatever the hell we want. And I don't come into the studio. I don't listen to anything on my headphones. I totally exit from it, and I find it really healthy to do that. I mean, there's some other like really obvious things that you can kind of do. For me, like personally, like having like a healthy diet and sleep and getting regular exercise is like extremely beneficial for managing stress. But I think almost above all else, what I would recommend to everybody listening is, if you're feeling stressed out or burnt out about what you're doing, is just start your day off doing something that is really great. Like, you start your day off doing something you love. Don't look at your email or your phone. Don't get into it first thing in the morning.
At least not your business email. I have different emails. I have like business email from clients, and then I have fun emails from I'll get emails about music, things that I'm interested in, hobby things that videos, channels that I watch or whatever. But yeah, I know what you mean.
I don't open emails in the morning. I like this
you
morning.
You don't open emails a lot of times.
Yeah, I don't.
I've learned
delete a lot of emails.
I've learned to text you if I want to if it's time sensitive. I know to text you now. So
it's a smart strategy. I get emails are something that happens after I take my morning walk, like this morning, or a run. This morning, like, because I'm sort of feeling like a little stressed out and a little burnt out right now, I took a nice hour-long walk in the drizzle here in Vancouver, and it was so beautiful, man. It smells so good, and there's cherry blossoms everywhere, and I just breathed deeply throughout the whole thing, and that just makes me feel good, man. That just makes me feel really good. I have a coffee, and I go for a nice long walk. Sometimes I'll go for a run too, just to sweat it out. And I start my day off right, man, and then I get into the weeds and get into the emails and start figuring out the day. But man, I can't just like get into it first thing in the morning. It's just like it's just such a bad idea.
I am about to get back to exercising the way I was when I lived in Nashville, and when we first moved down here. I was a gym rat. I mean, 3 days a week at least, or at most, but usually 2 days at least. I would go to the gym and play basketball for a while, sometimes with people, or sometimes just shooting on my own for about 45 minutes to an hour. Then go do cardio, then swim, and then hot tub and and then steam room, and
Nice.
then, I mean, there's nothing like that 2 hours that there's no music involved there. There's like
Yeah.
might be musical and ideas that I'm thinking about, or whatever. Now, the beauty about something like basketball or some kind of team sport is that if I'm playing with people, I can't think about anything else. It takes control of my thoughts.
Right.
All I think about is the play, is trying to score, is trying to pass, is whatever, and it's the one thing that takes music away.
Right.
In other words, it makes music go away. There's no music happening. Sometimes I might have a little tune in my head as I'm playing, but for the most part, I am concentrating on the strategy
Yeah.
of the game, and that's what I'm doing. And so anyway, yeah, I think that having those other things, those other hobbies alongside, like the guy I talked to yesterday, I was telling you about, that makes a lot of money in Spotify. He makes money in Spotify, but he also makes it as an artist. He does like paintings, and he also has a job
cool.
doing something else, marketing or something. So,
Cool.
I think he has other things that besides music that are hobbies. I have other things that are hobbies besides music. Maybe you're a gamer, a video gamer, and that can take your mind off of music for a while. Maybe you like to get out and do physical things and hike and walk and stuff like that. I think that's very important.
Yeah.
But to get back to the actual side of doing music and feeling burnt out, I think you really have to get to a place where you decide that either I need to take a break, or I need to, and quit is not the answer necessarily.
Quitting's not an option. It's not
what
even,
is always-
it's not even in the vocabulary for me. But like, it's like, I'm not going to quit music. Like, that's all I know how to do.
Well, something that is said in Nashville a lot is, if you can do anything else other than this, like if you can just wake up and not do music, and it doesn't bother you, and you can go do something else, then you should go do that other thing, because music should be a thing that you can't not do.
Yeah.
It should be the thing that you just can't help but sit down and mess about with
That's right.
stuff,
You
or
need to be
read about,
compelled
or study about.
To do it. You need to be compelled.
You have to be compelled. And if you are not compelled, that's one way to know that maybe this is more of a hobby and something that you do every once in a while when you feel like it. Let it be that. It's okay. It doesn't just because I do it for a living and Steve does it for a living doesn't mean you have to do it for a living. If it's not that thing that makes you enough money to survive, and you don't like doing it for money. There are lots of people who I talked to on the chat today, and I've heard from, that say, I do this for fun. I do this when I come home at night or in the morning or whenever, so I don't have to, I can just enjoy myself. And to me, that is a key. That is a really big key, that you can do music for fun. I can't do that, because music is my job, and I'll never, until I retire from jobs that pay me to work on demand, will I be able to do music for only fun.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
So,
well, music is fun, but it's yeah. I mean, it's a business too, and the business side of things can lead to burnout if you're not careful. It's just a matter of finding a balancing act, which is always fluid. Things get busy, and then you got to reassess and you find the balance for from my creativity versus all the administrative business things. And sometimes, I get overwhelmed with the administrative, all the things that need to happen in order for me to carve out the little time, to write music, which is the whole point of the reason I chose this career path. Right? It's that you got to write music, and it's like, if I'm not doing that enough, then I get really overwhelmed.
Well, I mean, this channel, this podcast, your academy, stock libraries that have clients that have deadlines, all those things can mount on you. And so that's what I'm trying to do now that finally I've got a place, a way to financially say, okay, I'm going to be okay if I don't work every second of every day, even though I still kind of am. But I'm trying to get to the point where I can get rid of some of the things that I don't want to do.
Yeah.
And I think that's somebody today in the chat said, I think it was Ronan, who said he's just if he could hire somebody to put all the songs up and keep that going on, we've all said that it would be, it would be easy. And I guess so, but he also said in the same breath, but then they wouldn't do it like I want them to do it. So that's a you're not a good businessman problem, because it's the whole E-Myth thing, where if you can't hire somebody to replace you, then it's not a job that you probably are going to make a lot of money on, if you can't replace yourself.
Yeah.
And so that's the problem with the business of like stock music or sync or anything. You've got to do all the work around it. It's not just a matter, I think even being in a band, as you know, there's a lot of work around that beyond the 2-hour gig or 3-hour gig.
Oh, it's that's the crazy thing about being a band. It's like, 99% is just the getting to the gig, setting up the gig, breaking down the gear, all the crazy stressful stuff that organize band practice, rehearsals, all the work, and then it's like that little sliver of joy is the actual gig itself, which is so few and far between, all the work involved. So
I will also relate what a producer told me the producer I studied under, what he told me when I first told him that I don't like sitting there and letting the client tell me what to do to make music. I just want to make music. I don't want some client sitting over my shoulder saying, no, that's not the chord. No, that's not the chord. No, that's not the chord. I said, I don't like that. And he says, well, then what I would recommend is go down the street and get a job at Firestone, changing tires on cars.
Yeah.
And do that for about 6 months or a year. And then think about if you would rather be in here with a client and making music for money. Which one would you rather have? Now, that doesn't apply to everybody, because not everybody can make a living with their music skills and or are ready to do that. But there is a beauty in leaving it and or threatening to leave it and saying, okay, I'm going to go do a corporate gig, or I'm going to go do another job that pays me and I don't have to think about that. And then you'll find out the rub if you are supposed to be doing music for money.
Yeah, like
you will.
And yeah, speaking of corporate gigs, it's like I have a couple of friends here in town who were doing a lot of corporate gigs, and they got burnt out doing corporate gigs, and they're like, I need to take some artistic gigs. I need to take some non-corporate gigs. I'm like, it's a balancing act. It's always a balancing act, right?
Well, so the bottom line here is, if you are feeling burnout, feel free, even though it's music, to take time away and do something else, or just do music offline. Go play the piano for a while and guitar on your front porch. Don't feel like you have to throw stuff to libraries and you have to develop this whole career. It's not mandatory.
Deep breaths,
take time, stop, take time away from it. And there's no better way to really get yourself kind of stopping and just take time away, take time off. And if after a few weeks you're still not wanting to, then that means you haven't taken enough time.
Yeah, maybe.
And that's just the way with any hobby. I haven't read a book for a long time. That doesn't mean I'm done reading books. It's just that I've been playing apps, or I've been like doing music stuff or whatever. So hobbies come and go. Sometimes you pick them up for a few years. I've had clients who pick it up for a year and put out a CD, and then they do all the marketing and they go, I'm going to just sit around. I'm just going to relax for a bit. And then they don't put out music for another year or two. And then it comes back and they call me up and they go, hey, I'm ready to record again. I've got some new songs.
Refreshed.
So,
yeah, that's the ticket.
So definitely think you could do that this week. If you're feeling stress, if you're feeling burnout, take some time away. Just let it go. Let it go. Oh, no. Now we're going to get flagged for a copyright claim.
Content.
At least it's on your channel.
Thanks so much for listening, guys. Appreciate you all.
Right.
And we'll see you guys at the next episode.
Absolutely. Thanks, everybody. Talk to you next time.